Welcome to Tuesday's lecture. Yesterday we talked about Paul's letters in general, and today we're going to talk about Paul's first letter. Not that he first wrote, but the letter that first comes in the New Testament. It's going to be arguably the most important of Paul's letters. It's the longest of Paul's letters. It's the most descriptive letter of the gospel. So let's get into the book of Romans. We're going to talk about different things about the background of Romans, and then a lot of the theology that we are going to talk about in this next few weeks are going to be covered in the book of Romans. And so we're going to end up coming back to the book of Romans, but today is kind of the overview and maybe a little bit of background. For Romans, we're going to ask the question, why was the book of Romans written? So why did Paul write the book of Romans? It's going to be pretty clear that there was a problem. And like we talked about yesterday, that these letters are going to be written to address specific issues. And so there was an issue in the Roman church. And this issue, this problem, was disunity between Jews and Gentiles. Okay? Disunity between Jews and Gentiles. And Paul sees this as a problem because in God's family, there's neither Jew nor Gentile. He says this. In God's family, there is not certain cultural bounds that you have to follow in order to be part of God's family. And this is going to be the main solution. So why does Paul write Romans? It's to describe the disunity between Jews and Gentiles. And then what's his solution? What's the answer to this? It's going to be, he's going to say that Jews and Gentiles are united in God's family. Let's do a little background on the problem here, specific to the Roman Church. In the Roman Church, it started out primarily a church of Jews. Okay, Jews who accepted the gospel, and so there would be mostly Jews. And we'll put these little hats on them to show that they're Jewish in the Roman Church here. And then there would be a few Gentiles, and for Gentiles, we'll put like a little headband. I don't know why it's a headband, but Gentiles, I guess, wear headbands. And so there would be a majority of Jews in the Roman Church, and it'd be a minority of Gentiles. And eventually, though, the Jews got kicked out, and this would have included Jewish Christians because they were Jews, but they were also Jews who believed that Christ was the Messiah. But Claudius, the emperor in Rome, kicked out Jews because there was problems. So all the Jews in the Roman Christian church are kicked out of Rome. And then more people become Christians in Rome. But of course, all the Jews are out of Rome. So who's becoming more Christians? Is it Jews or Gentiles? It's going to be Gentiles. So the Gentile population increases in the Roman Church. Well, then 5 years after the Jews were expelled, Claudius allows the Jews to come back. And so then this group of Jews comes back, and they're asking, hey, what's going on? This is our church. We're kind of in charge. And the Gentiles are like, hey, we have just as much right to being part of the family of God too. And these Jews were saying some certain things. They were saying that they need to do specifically three things, and that's be circumcised. They need to eat like Jews, and they need to uh, follow the Sabbath laws. Oh, sorry. They need to follow the Sabbath, or keep the Sabbath is the language in the Ten Commandments. And so these things are going to be very Jewish. And Jews thought that in order for Gentiles to be part of God's family, they would need to have these things. But Paul's going to say, no, 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 no way. Okay, it's through Christ. Okay, and so then we just discussed the problem of the disunity, and Paul's answer, his solution to why Jews and Gentiles are in the family of God, is that both Jew and Gentile are in Christ, okay? And you don't have to be circumcised, you don't have to eat like a Jew, you don't have to obey the Sabbath law to be in Christ, okay?